Ture, Rangstro, Kαλλιτεχνικό διευθυντή του Intima του οικείου θεάτρου του Strindberg, όπου δούλεψε για πάρα πολλά χρόνια. Ο Ture έχει γράψει βιβλία, ήταν πρόεδρος της εταιρείας των φίλων Strindberg, έχει εργαστεί και στο μουσείο Strindberg και έτσι είναι πλήρης με θεωρητικές και πρακτικές γνώσεις. Τον ευχαριστούμε που ήρθε και τον καλωσορίζουμε.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I think it's really fantastic that we sit here and talk about Strindberg, the focus on Strindberg in Greece, the release on Strindberg. It's very good, I think, that he's doing, and the thing I hope always is that to make more performances with Strindberg, there's more translations and things like that, and come to Stockholm and play on the little small theater that I've been working on now for 15 years. And I will talk, present the ideas a little bit of what Strindberg wanted to do with this theater. But first, before I went here, I just looked at what really was Strindberg's interest in Greece. And I saw that he, in 1884, wanted to go out in Europe like a journalist together with a photographer. And he should cover the most important countries and talk to them about the agriculture, about the fishing, about cities, how living is, and he should present it. It should be a book in the end, but it's small parts. And he writes like this: the first part should be Greece, Italy, France, Germany, England, and Ireland, and so on. I hope part number one will be ready, and then we can sell it to the Germans, to the French, English, to Italian editors, and it can be a whole work, a whole book. But now it's a bit too late, or it's time to go away now, because the year it's in October and in the beginning of November. It's like now. Now you should go out and meet Greece and write about the circumstances. And he should cover the geography, agriculture, botanics, a language, and so on. And if the Swedish editor that is writing don't accept this, he will write to a French newspaper or try to do it in France. And he did it in France only. Among French farmers was a book that he wrote when he was traveling around with a photographer and wanted to come close to a country. It's a pity he didn't do this Greek journey that he could have done here. I will talk about Strindberg and Intima Teatern at Norra Bantorget in Stockholm. It opened the 26th of November 1907. It's 110 years ago. And that very evening, the young, proud theater manager, August Falk, he was just 24 years old, he performed a totally new written prologue by August Strindberg. Strindberg was 58 years old. In which Strindberg presented the future direction of how a new intimate theater should work. And the motto should be, welcome to a journey from the island of life to the island of death. That's what Strindberg thought was all his plays in that way, that we go from island of life to island of death. And so that the auditorium also should understand that on the little small theater we have put paintings of Böckelin, the Toteninsel and the Lebensinsel on each side. We should look at the pictures on that so you can see. So they shouldn't forget the thought about the whole thing. And August Strindberg was not present in the auditorium that evening. He was home feeling sick and extremely nervous for the future of his theater in Stockholm. When he heard that the critics and the prominent guests did not look very happy when they went home from the theater, he wanted to stop the whole enterprise and stop Intima Teatern. We are too good for them, he wrote. One can with good reason say that Intima Teatern was created as a protest against the prevailing theatrical convention of the day. August Strindberg has formulated the purpose. his new theatre was to be an experimental stage, on a reform stage. And it was promoted as an independent theatre, created mainly for Strindberg, but also open for some other modern authors from Scandinavia. And Strindberg has formulated the program like this: no liquor, no Sunday afternoon performances, short performances, just 5/4 of an hour without intermission. No calls during the performances, you shouldn't give applause to the late afterwards. Only 160 seats in the auditorium. No smoking allowed. It should be central heating for the auditorium and the whole building. And in the dressing room too, there should be dressing rooms to each actor. And there should be no prompter, no souffleur, no orchestra, only music on stage. Not outside or before the start of the performance. And text should be sold in the box office and in the lobby. And then, very important, Strindberg was to introduce summer performances. The actors should work the whole year and not be free in the summer. They should go out and perform for the people and get to the summer performances. And August Falk wanted to call the new theatre the Strindberg Theatre. Strindberg himself was flattered about this thought, but he thought it maybe should look like hybris or megalomania to have his name on it. I saw it just, the Strindberg Theatre is good for the marketing. But Strindberg suggested that it should be the more simple, Intima theater. But to be sure that he should not be forgotten by the actors and the auditorium, he put photos of himself and pictures all over the theatre. Also in the foyer and in the ladies' waiting lounge, he installed a big bust, a statue of himself showing a young, relaxed Strindberg. But he was not there very often himself on the theatre area. The ensemble that he employed was noted for their enthusiasm and their dedication to the in-house author. They were very young with some exceptions. They were quite bad paid, but should be prepared to present a full repertoire 6 days a week. Even if Strindberg mentioned 10 or so possible contemporary authors and some doable plays, among them he wanted to make Wagner's Tristan und Isolde on this called Intimate Theatre, without the music, just the text. But that was never done. In the end it was all Strindberg, only Strindberg. Let me today introduce August Strindberg as a theatre man, a creator of his own Intima Teatern. Was, he's the Swedish national author. He was not unfamiliar with advanced theatrical experiments and practical exercises of acting. He's very much a practical man of theatre, that we will find out very quickly. During his years as a leader of Intima Teatern, he switched from his handy side of the artistic to the artistic side every day for almost 3 years. Sometimes he disappeared from the theatre, and then he was doing other things. He wrote articles for the press. He was deeply involved in the Strindberg's fade and the Strindberg fight. That was a violent culture debate that lasted for many years and took lots of forces from Strindberg. August Strindberg is Sweden's most internationally renowned playwright of all time, with classic, as you know, Miss Julie, The Father, Dance of Death, and Easter to his credit. He has written almost 50 plays and dramatizations, and he said that Miss Julie is almost always played anywhere in the world, at any stage, every night, large or small. Miss Julie is translated to a large number of languages. It's available at least 10 French translations, or maybe more, and it has been played in Esperanto and likely in total silence as a volume. That very Kullberg did with this performance. And this one is my grandfather on my father's side that made the music. Ture Rangstro was my grandfather. He has the same name like me. He was 21 years old and he came to Strindberg where he lived in the Blue Tower. and they sat beside, in front of his piano, playing. And that he has described in a radio program that I heard, and has written about it also. And Ture Rangstro explained that he wanted to make an opera of the Crown Bride, or the saga play that is like Romeo and Juliet. That should in the Swedish forest like that. And Strindberg was very excited about the idea. Ture promised that he should just do it without changing one word. But he should take away the last act because it was finished there, he saw it. And Strindberg thought, it's a good idea from a young composer. And then Strindberg wanted to show that he knew lots of things of music. So he put on the keyboard and said, tell me, Mr. Rangstro, why is it missing a black key between E and F? Like that. And how is the piano tuned? And so he had lots of ideas of that. But he liked this to be done, and 1940 Rangstro was finished with this opera, The Crown Bride, that has been played up recently. And so it's quite funny to think of him sitting in front of his piano. Miss Julie, we were talking about. Miss Julie is translated, as we heard, to lots of languages. And Strindberg was himself tried to translate his own plays because he wanted to speed up the release of them. And the earliest French edition of The Father and Predators and Le Plaidoyer d'un Fou, Strindberg made himself. The experts say it's not very good translation Strindberg did. It's not a very good play, but they're better in Swedish. But nowadays it's going on with new. It's like translation is fresh. It's like fresh bread. You want to eat it fresh, and then it becomes old very quickly. To make classics that last for a long time. Times have changed in a way. So it's quite lots of translation going on, and that is a way also to put them on stage. Strindberg has opened many doors for other Swedish writers and film directors and actors, has been the key into the international culture world. To be a Strindberg actor is still an honorable title, you can say. And Strindberg was undoubtedly Ingmar Bergman's dearest companion throughout his life. Strindberg was Bergman's favorite author and playwright. They shared around 30 productions, not only in Sweden, but in other countries also. A dream play and the Good Sonata, Bergman directed 4 times each on different scenes. And well-known directors, filmmakers, choreographers, composers, they still find material in Strindberg, enormous repertoire, what he has left behind. And it's the Strindberg letters you can use. The Occult Diary has been on stage at my theater twice. And you can recognize it's Strindberg very quickly. When you hear just a few lines from actors on stage, you hear this is Strindberg, and he has really an own style. And there are lots of work they are looking at now. Strindberg is the only Swedish playwright who made international breakthrough in the great capitals like Paris and Berlin during his own lifetime. England or the English-talking country were never on the top list during his lifetime. He was not so popular in England. They look upon him like the barbarian from the north or the hater of women from Sweden. And there was other viable epithets used during his lifetime. Times change, as I say. Today there is Strindberg Society in Los Angeles, and Strindberg is frequently performed in New York and London and Tokyo and Russia. So he's very well spread now over the world. When Strindberg tried to conquer Europe in the end of the 19th century, he had 2 main competitors from Scandinavia that were more successful than him. I'm talking about Henrik Ibsen and Bjørnstjerne Bjørnson from Norway. They had a smoother career, these guys. They were more well-groomed and presentable. the political Strindberg and the troublemaker Strindberg has made it become more easy to accept in our own time now, in this troubled time, complicated time. But he speaks to the young generation. He's a fighter, you can say, a little bit like a rock star. And the young auditorium likes him. He's very young people here also listen to Strindberg. I think that is enormous good and fun. Strindberg has put traces in many countries, in many languages. The interest of Strindberg in Greece is a topic worth to put light on really. There are books written about how Strindberg was influenced by the old Greek culture. He himself has studied the Greek language, in the book The Roots of the Word Language. And as we heard about his cult diary, when he wrote that about his enemies, he didn't dare to write out the name in Swedish, so he wrote it in Greek, just the names, but they have been retranslated now, so you can see who they are really. When Strindberg started his Intimate Theatre in 1907, he did alongside his own pieces, he opened up also for the Greek, ancient Greek in the repertoire. He mentioned particularly Euripides and Aeschylus, that they were, maybe we should do something from them. And then they had the idea that the theatre should be a young, bright art form with roots in the old. It should be a school for young people, young actors. And he wrote and published these famous open letters to the members of the Intima Teatern, Intima 1908, which is sort of a school book for young actors. There is Strindberg take Shakespeare in the hand and make analysis and try to find out like a dramaturg how you should do a scene, how you should act, how you should talk. But he take then it's Shakespeare you want to have as a good friend when he's doing this. He liked to call himself the first director, första regissören himself. But Strindberg visited his theatre quite rarely. He was not very familiar with what's going on with the stage. Being there, like taking the actors in the hand and trying to show them how you should do like that and what feeling you should do. He didn't want to do that really. He was more, he wanted to go and he wrote down what he had seen or what someone else had seen to him and said that he was like that. And then he sent letters to the actors and to the people taking part in his performances and told them how to do it. So, and it's true that he never read critics, but he knew everything what was written about it because he asked the actors to come over to him and read from the papers so he could hear it, but he didn't read it himself. Maybe he was afraid to hear that he was bad critic, and it was really bad critic in the beginning when they started. During my 15 years as artistic director of Strindberg's new restored theatre in Stockholm, it was restored 2003, and I was been the chairman of the Strindberg Society. I have learned one thing: August Strindberg is very much alive. As a playwright, also his life make for people very interested in what kind of person was he, because he was writing about himself, and that's what was interesting. He has also many sides also Strindberg. He can be old-fashioned at the same time, very young and present. He is also very funny often. It's fun to read Strindberg. Strindberg very often take the part of his actors. He loves his actors. He is the actor playwright, you can say, in front of other dramatists. He understands them. He has a sympathy for his very young acting ensemble that has to work with this most difficult of all, what the art of acting. And if they want to change something, he was very open for that. Just let it be good in your mouth. If there's a line that he wrote initially 1888 or something, it don't don't have to be there forever. You can make changes that is better for you. Or maybe you can't pronounce a special syllable or in a good way, and then take this word away and take other words out. So that is one of the things that he likes to talk very much about, how the art of talking and acting. And that, I think he got this idea very much, and new ideas, is that he was married 3 times, twice with actresses that was professional. One of them working at the dramatic theatre in Stockholm, and he was writing for them. He wanted to let them have good roles, Historia and Easter. It's for her, his wife is doing this thing, and they of course told him how they wanted things to be. The other wife he had was Austrian woman that was a modern journalist and writer, and they were touring around in Europe, following the culture like that. And he is an artist living in Europe very much, and outside Sweden, bringing in things from Europe to Sweden. And that they made him also, he's very updated what is happening. He talked about Appia, and he met Gordon Craig, Isadora Duncan was named, he met Isadora Duncan, and that almost no one did at that time. It's Strinberg that has his open mind for the new theatre. He also has enormous libraries, Strinberg. I think it's 6,000 volumes in this blue tower, the last place where he lived. Up in the attic he has this, and this is very, very much theatre literature, magazines from the time. And he's reading, like some people do nowadays, also with a pen in his hand, so he's making marks on the side, and he writes what he thinks, very, very good, or shit or something like that. So, and I think you should do that more. It's impossible when you look at your computer to have a reaction like that. So it's true that Strindberg became a theatre man out into his fingertips. He wrote also for surviving. He was prepared to do anything to sell his old dramas and his new plays to anyone all over Europe. The last years of his life he lived quite isolated in this blue tower in Stockholm. That now is Strindberg Museum. That you see really in Stockholm. And that time he was quite old. He was 60, he was sick, very sick, and he was divorced. And his father, he was father to a young daughter, Anne-Marie, that he loved to spoil and care about very much. And he had 4 other grown-up kids that got quite a lot of money for him. I met Anne-Marie once in the Blue Tower when she came there and to open a performance. She lived until she was 106. You should look at her. She looked almost like a puppet in there. And she had dropped a little red ball that she played with when she was in the Intima Teatern, and that also had been found. That now belongs to the museum. You can look at Andres and at the last chance in his life, Strindberg started this new enormous experiment, theatre in Stockholm. And then if he wanted to have the job, really has his CV, his curriculum vitae was quite impressive. He was a playwright, he was a theatre director, he was a dramaturg, he was a stage designer, props manager, he was a make-up artist, he knew everything about make-up. He was sponsor, he was director, he was costume designer, he was acting himself, he was prepared to do that almost, and he was also his own critic. He was in a way prepared to do anything to rule this new theatre, Intima Teatern. Earlier in his life, Strindberg had time after time tried to start his own theatre in Sweden, in Denmark, in France, in Germany, but he failed. He failed every time. He had to give up in advance. Mostly because of the economic reasons and unrealistic expectation. He saw at once that he found the perfect formula for one-man Strindberg theatre that he should do in Berlin. that should generate, like he said, just small, expensive and big income. And that should be the big one, that you just earn money and nothing to pay, but it will function. In his dramatic writing, Strindberg is cruising through genres and different styles. Nothing is impossible for him, or everything is possible. Historical plays, realism, naturalism, symbolism, new invention within the dream play. That was the dream play technique. That was something that he had in his head for all his life. And that leads to the new idea of chamber plays. Kammarspel. That should be the base on the repertoire at Strindberg's Intima Teater. He tried to find out why to create a style that should be of high artistic quality and at the same time cheap for the producer, something new in the development of the theater. But chamber plays, that was based on the idea of chamber music, where you can follow. It's like you have few actors and they talk, and it's like it's music you're reading. You should have a partiture instead of as a script. Strindberg had finished 4 chamber plays in the beginning of 1907. It was The Storm, The Burned House, Good Sonata, and The Pelican. And he had received the inspiration very much from Max Reinhardt, who was running a small stage in Berlin, which he called Kammerspielhaus. And the stage was connected to the Deutsches Theater. Teatr Libre, Freie Bühne, Kammerspiel, Antoine, Max Reinhardt, and Emil Schering are all very important persons in this process, or parts in this process. It's said that Emil Schering was really important when they founded Intima Teatern. And I found some years ago lots of letters from Emil Schering that Strindberg has given to one of the actors of Intima Teatern. That they should read what a guy that knew the European theatre really wanted, what you should do with the Strindberg. He was translating almost everything, and then it was retranslated to other languages, I think to Italian, maybe also to Greek. But that is quite interesting. This guy quite a lot. He wanted to be a playwright himself. Clearly, Emil Schering. Strindberg tried to learn him how to be a good writer, like that, to tell him what is dramaturgy. He lost this under. You write, you say something else with your lines, like that should be something undertext that we talk to. And that Emil Schering didn't understand what that was at all, but Strindberg had in his body. Strindberg was very much effective to use the four-chamber music in his writing. He wanted to sell his new drama to Max Reinhardt, as I said, and he also saw the opportunity to create his own theatre in Stockholm together with this young talent, Oswald. And they should do different parts of the job. And they really did. Strindberg was writing the plays and presenting them. Oswald was putting them on stage and acting himself and trying to get money to do that. And he complained something, it was too much, and I should make a quotation of that later. Strindberg was very much, he tried to explain what this new style consists of, this chamber Kammarspel style. Find the intimate in shape, small motifs, extensively treated, few people, great views, free fantasy, but based on observation, experience, well-studied, simple, but not too simple, no big apparatus. And if you come to the Intima Teater, you understand, because it's really intimate, it's very small, you can't build up big sceneries, you have to put the word. In the beginning it was a word, börja var ordet, as I said in the Bible, it's not Strindberg, but that's really what it was about, the word. Strindberg once said, a table and 2 chairs and 2 actors, that's all you need, then you have a drama. You just start to talk, and then you sit there, you listen to them, you follow them, you're very close to them, and on the intimate theater, you really in their faces all the time. You can't stop to look at them, listen to them. That's quite interesting. So we should look at pictures. But the story of Strindberg and Intima Teatern is very short, if I make it very compact like this. If you look in this encyclopedia, theatre things, it's like that really. Strindberg started his own experimental theatre in Intima Teatern in Stockholm in the fall of 1907. It lasted for 3 years. In total was given numerous performances of Strindberg's own plays in Stockholm and also on tour in the provinces and in Denmark and Norway. And in December 1910 finished the operations of the financial problems. The conquering from the cinematograph and other private theatres destroyed the market. Intima Teatern closed and August Strindberg died the 14th of May 1912. Like the castle with the Sleeping Beauty, Strindberg's Intima Teatern was forgotten for almost 100 years. And in 2003 it reopened, and the old stage reopened with the repertoire in the spirit of Strindberg. And 2017 the new stage reached the number of 100 different performances and dramas. I started to work with this 2002, the theatre finished 2000, but I finished this spring and now I'm writing a book about Strindberg's Intima Teatern. But we made 100 different performances, most of them Strindberg, and I will show you some pictures of them also. Okay, now we shall try to look at pictures as a function. We should restart. Okay, we can put down the light. Here is a little ensemble outside Strindberg's home. Strindberg has just died, unfortunately, so May he died, maybe this is some 1 week after the funeral. Or Strindberg had written in his testimony, I want to be, it shouldn't be a big story. I want to carry me to the Norra Kyrkogården, the churchyard, and nobody should be there. But it was thousands and thousands and thousands of Stockholmers coming. And in front of them was, sorry, and I have to look what I'm saying. And then this little group from Intima Teatern were there. You can see August Falk is in the corner, and then it's Manda Björling, the first Miss Julie ever. She's there in Stockholm. Do you see something? And then the Fanny Falkner, the third woman in front, is the last black of Strindberg. He said she was not an actress in a way, she was a pupil, yes. And then the guy with the high hat is my grandfather, Bruce, my grandfather. And he was an actor, Ulrich Kjellgren. I'm writing, this book is very much about his view because he wrote diaries from all his old time with Strindberg that hasn't been published. And he's a big enthusiast. That is the thing with all these actors. They were very enthusiastic in how they sort of think that. Here's the grave. The Strindberg is lying north of Stockholm a little bit. It was, and here the people going there, the 14th celebrating Strindberg. Here how it looks like. It's like on the presentation for this seminar. They call it this is Strindberg like a lion. He thought he was and he liked his hair like that. He was taking a shower every morning and put it up. And you know, he was a man of photography. He was taking photos of himself and also photos together with professional photographers in national size. So all the members of Intima Teatern has to go and take this photo like that, and August Falk and my grandfather had this photo. Oh, sorry. Oh yes, now you see Strindberg goes quick if you're a theatre director. After 3 years, you look like that. And here's Anne-Marie, the daughter, the young daughter that was 108 years. In the womb of Blue Tower. And here is the square outside Intima Teatern from the time, how it looks like 1907. Norra Bantorget it's called. It's in the corner, quite close to the central station in Stockholm. And here you see the White House in the middle, the Tympanon field like that. In the bottom is the theater. This was this quite new built house at that time. And it is a corner that was quite dark in the evening, and August Falk wanted to, and Strindberg said to Falk, you have to do something, they lit it up. And the electricity was quite new at that time, what you can do really, but they put two big blue lamps shining out, so it should be, you can understand that it's here in this house, there is the Strindberg theater. When I became the chef of it, we put a big flag with this Intima Teatern, and also lamps of course. Here's only a picture of Strindberg in the theater in Intima Teatern. He's sitting there with his hat in his hand, looking at the premiere at the Burnt House, one of the chamber plays. He didn't say a word, and he just went home, and then he right down to the actors what he thought. I thought it was a catastrophe. And he came there sitting. Sometimes he went there with friends, but not very often. He disliked to be active like that. He wanted to be at home and thinking what he had seen. And then he regret what he was writing, so he'd take up 2 or 3 letters sometimes. Strindberg has his own key when he was coming down, so he could go. Sometimes I say that he went down to sit alone in the theater, just to listen, to think and so on. And then August Falk got the key to Strindberg's flat. That was really an honorable thing. But he didn't dare to come in himself to Strindberg. But Strindberg sometimes came down to the theater himself. Here is the house where Strindberg lived at Karlaplan in Stockholm, exactly in the same place where Ingmar Bergman moved later. They built a new house, and then Ingmar Bergman moved. So he lived almost on the same spot like Strindberg, but this is Karlaplan. And it's the salon, the dining room. The interesting thing with this place is that there are many marks of his favorite composer, Beethoven. So you see on the piano, the score, Beethoven is there, and I think it's the death mask of Beethoven is there on his studio. And when I was working at the museum of the Strindberg, suddenly it was stolen, this thing, on the day of the death of Beethoven. And we thought everybody is something to do with the Strindberg, it's the ghost of Strindberg. And here is how it was there. It's the last wife of Strindberg. She was one of the most prominent Swedish actresses, and she made many of the big performances, To Damascus, Easter, Dream Play, and so. She came from Norway. She was very young. And he said that Strindberg proposed to her as a marriage. Do you want to have a little child with me, Strindberg? Yes, she said. So it's the start of something. Here's a working table in the Blue Tower where Strindberg was sitting, writing. His day was very precise what he wanted to do. He started the morning taking a long walk, then he came back to his room, and then nobody should interrupt him. Then he was writing. And Miss Faulkner was sitting down here, and when the side was ready, she gave it to her, and she was to make it dry like that. here is Anne-Marie, how she looked at the time of Strindberg in Intima. So she looked when I met her in 2005. She had been very often, the journalists wanted to talk to her, how was your father, like that. It has been very much talked about how do you pronounce Strindberg's first name, August. Is it called August or August? Auguste, French. And nobody knows really, because many people want to say August Strindberg, because they think they're a little bit familiar with him. But when she asked him, what did you say to your father? I say, Papa. And here you see, for the first time, this young August Falk is sitting in the background. Here's a meeting with all the leaders of the touring companies, 1906. He has just made Miss Julie on a tour in the south of Sweden. And Strindberg became interested in this guy. And here the touring manager or director said, we should higher the level what we are doing in the provinces of Sweden. Here's August Falk, and here's his national portrait with him, always with the cigar in his hand or his mouth. Here's also a caricature of him. He was he really was not maybe the best actor in the world, but he ran the theater very hard, he worked very hard. And Strindberg didn't understand that August Falk was acting in the evenings, he was meeting Strindberg in the daytime, he was doing things all the time to get money for the theater. And Strindberg wanted to have company with him. He wanted to have rumors, what was going on in the theater, because Strindberg was not down at the theater. So, but Falk had no time, so it was built in a way, a conflict that was growing up very much. Here's the wife of August Falk, Amanda Björling, that was the first Miss Julie. She was very good. I think the women has always been very important at Intima. And she was the woman that directed in a way the plays. She could keep the whole frame of the performance, so it didn't fall into pieces in the beginning. And here she is as Miss Julie first. Her favorite was Sarah Bernard, as you can see. Here's a blue tower where Strindberg was living. He was living on the 4th floor, and up in the top, that was his library. And he went up there and down, and he never used the elevator. People always ask him, when you come to see an elevator, that it was very, very old. But Strindberg didn't dare to take the elevator, he was walking. And here's the painting that Fanny Falkner, this young girl, made to show this lagerrummen. It's a room where Strindberg used to sit, talk to his actors, and they have Schiller and Goethe. And here is Intima Teatern, and there you can see these paintings I was talking about. This is the island of Dyke, to the right, left, and here the island of Death in the corner. And it was very beautiful. It was a Jugendstyle, L'Art Nouveau style of the building, with French villas on the rows where people were sitting. You could go inside, and it was 160 places. When we restored it, it was impossible to do in that way, because the chairs was very, very small, and they were influenced by the cinematograph, I think, putting in people. And all this has disappeared when we came there. So we put in other chairs and make it more comfortable, and made it a little bit shorter. Also, the stage is very, very small. It's just 6 times 4 meters. It's really nothing. But it was beautiful colors and things like that, very artistic. And here we have the dance, the Island of Death, that Strindberg was fascinated, Berlin. And the copy Strindberg had was in no colors at all. Versailles or something black and white. And here's the Island of Life. It's a little bit more boring Island of Life. They don't seem to have so much fun. I'll touch it again here. I'm sorry. My fingers is moving away. The artist, the painters, is very important in the history of Intima theater because it was the friends of August Falk, and they here you see also it's my grandfather made this sketch, more amateuristic. Can you see the colors also, and in the top, in the roof, you can also it's cloth, and through it was shining lots of light. That and the critics do that when you come inside the Intima, you look both intelligent, beautiful, like that, and that is quite fun. And here you see on the other side, the lighting equipment was very, very modern. They have a footlight and light between. They have beams you could set away the light in a way and put different colors and so. That interested Strindberg enormous much. And the thing that Strindberg had one idea with this Imreda that he wanted to do is how to make a dream play. Because that was the play that he has been working with. He has never seen it in a good way on stage. Because it is a premiere at Swedish theater, Svenska Teatern. Then it was cloth hanging down. You had sides that was painting, and when you open a door, like I think it was doing like this. And he wanted to be should smooth over from one scene to another, and that could only be done with lights, and cinema or illusion, like you have pictures on the wall and things like that. And also he had to Intima, he wanted to take away everything. So on stage, maybe he just should put something on that reminds of something. So it should be. You make it much easier in that way for your fantasy to be make the transformation to the. But they didn't manage to do that. And I had in my mind that I should do it also. We should do a dream play, but it's performance that's quite big and it's cost to do, and that was never done. So I lost my chance, I think, to do it. I hope someone else will. And here is these launches. They made two of them. One is the herrarnas rökrum, the smoking room for the men. They should sit on one side drinking and smoking, and the lady should be on the other side, and it's very beautiful. And that is a bust of Strindberg that is he wanted to show them that he is there. And here is the ladies' foyer. That was beautiful with this carpet. The furniture, I still have one of these chairs in my room. It's quite old-fashioned. And here is the ensemble backstage. And that room still exists, but it's different. But here are the first group, 1908. And you see Strindberg put himself, of course, in the corner. And then is my grandfather in the corner. And the scene in the back is an eagle that is stuffed. And that eagle Strindberg had in his home. And it has to be carried down because it was used in performances, and it was him like that. He called himself the eagle when he was young. And if you look at the eagle nowadays, first it was like this, but the wings are coming down like this. So you see what happened. And here's August Falk a little bit later in Denmark. He was very much touring, and also. Here's how we look like exactly when he got his theater. The writer is happy. He's very proud of it that he's the leader of the theater. And here's my grandfather, Alrik, and he was taking care of the touring and also acting in almost all the plays. He was madly in love with August Falk's sister, and they married. She became my grandmother, and they got 3 children. One of the first one. Here's my grandmother is calling. That she was very beautiful. She was taking care of the economy, and when Alec was touring, has to put the money they owned and send it back to her, and then he wrote lots of love things. I love you, I longing for you. But she first she looked what was where is the money, and then she looked at what he has written, and became very wounded that he was not so much in love. Here's Alex Shelgan in Halifax Coast. This is one of the investigations. Now we make it right. Here is Manda Björling, you see in Queen Christina. The historical dramas was quite successful. But it cost a lot because of the costumes and so forth. And here is the opening performance, I think of you and the Pelican. First Pelican. Strindberg came down to the theater and he found that they had done something that was ugly and so, and then he wanted to have something light, and so they had to make a new background and everything like that. And the small stage becomes really small. It's a white summer furniture, something like that. And here's always fun to see. And this performance, they got quite bad critics, and people didn't dare to come and look at the thing. This Pelican, I think the third performance, it was just 20% in the auditorium. And then they tried to play Miss Julie again, that was a success. And then after a while it became better. In 1908, then they were playing very, very good, because this year Strindberg became 60, so it was a heap in a way. Strindberg should be celebrated, and people had a look at what he was doing. Here's the comrades, Strindberg. But it was a bad. It's Easter with one of the big success, especially in the outside Stockholm in provinces. They divided the troupe in two parts. One part was playing in Stockholm. They were playing the hell dramas like Dance of Death and The Father and Miss Julie, that was violent for grown-up people. But outside Stockholm they played this more romantic saga and Påsk and Svanevik and Strindberg. Här är brott och brott. They try to use that they have a frame with settings on the side and just changing the backdrop. You don't see much of this experimental thing. And it's a pity because they did it in Christina very much, and also in Brott and Brott they made more and more scenes with it. So they shouldn't bring so many things around. They were going with the train all around in Sweden, and it's happy to have all these things big times. Here's also bad. Oh, it's really bad. Here is the father. We should have a look at it. That we should finish and together. And here's a wave still that let the people at the theater have his own original paintings, and that was fantastic in a way. That is hanging on the side. Nowadays it costs 25 million. Oisvall was a good film actor also. Boris Stiller and Sjöberg, the Greta Garbo directors, and so they used Falk because they had a national way of acting. That is very interesting. And here's Fanny Falkner in Dance of Death. And here is the program they had with the very delicate. Kylberg was an artist in Sweden that we are still using it. And here's Fanny Falkner tried to make a portrait of him, Strindberg, in his morning gown. And you know, Strindberg is the museum, man of museum, so they kept it in the Nordic Museum. You can see how it looks like. The dress is still there. And here you see also they're quite elegant sometimes. I think this is from, maybe it's not so death or something. And this caricature that follows Strindberg is very busy, as you see, he's doing 6 things at one time. And this Strindberg cigar also. That's what they found when they opened up his drawers, and here is Strindberg cigar. And here's the last picture of Strindberg. You see when he's walking at Drottninggatan on the way to this theater that he has left at that time. And here's what they were doing afterwards, August Falkman, they were touring around to schools and talking about Strindberg and making scenes from Strindberg's plays. And here's Falk when he's a big director, smoking a cigar. Maybe he's happy, maybe he's sad, I don't know. I'm writing a book about him now, and it's very funny to see it from the other side. It's quite a lot written about Strindberg, how he's like a theatre man, but how they behaved and what they thought about Strindberg, that is quite good. And here's the gang. We started the theatre in 2003, and now I do a quick thing here. Søren Runes is a great, fantastic stage designer. He has made this theatre in the style of Strindberg. And here's the Strindberg Museum, me and an architect. And here's a model, the title, that was broken. And here's the entrance of the theatre, Barbantorget. Here's when we tried to put up the chairs for the first time. It looks very clean and so, but it's formidable theatre. It's really beautiful and it's fantastic to be there in a way. These old chairs we get bought for free from the concert hall in Stockholm. It's made of a very famous architect. And here you see the first performance we did was Fritänker, the Freethinker. That was Strindberg's first play ever written, never performed. Everybody is impossible, but it was very much possible to do. People loved it. It was a fantastic start for the theatre. And we are playing, here's To Damascus. And we are playing in the style of Strindberg, in the spirit of Strindberg. That means that we don't have to play Strindberg always. It can be other things also. But we, of course, Strindberg will be there most of the time. Queen Christina. There's also Queen Christina. There's Nemesis. The Alfred Nobel wrote one very strange play, and Strindberg and Alfred Nobel Strindberg wanted to have the Nobel Prize, but not the literary Nobel Prize. He wanted to have the Nobel Prize in chemistry. But Nobel wrote a play that is about culture and very, very strange. We did it, and it was also a success, especially from foreign newspaper coming all over the world to look at it. It was made in an experimental way, we can say. Here also with the opera singers, and we made the goose and a very, very good performance. Now I just jumped here. Măgărița Mélberg, one of the greatest singers. Fantastic, massive work. The Goose Sonata is fantastic. That is one of my favorites. Here's also it's Henning Mankell that wrote this play. And his father-in-law, Ingmar Bergman, was there looking not at the play, but one evening he was sitting and he wanted to see the theatre. And I wrote to him and asked him, can't you do one performance in here? But he has finished to do, and then he died, so it was too late. But he was there, Ingmar Bergman. Here's also just, you can see how the stage is used. It's a revolving stage, you can turn around, the smallest in Sweden. Here's Erland Josefsson, his last play was this with old actors. It's very much old actors and young actors together. That has been the idea with Intima. And here's they have played quite a lot of female playwrights, also directed by female directors and so on. Strindberg maybe have been shaking that they've been taking so many women in the theatre, but I think it's good that they do. Här är Thomas Söderberg. Brott och brott. Det är också guest play. We have lots of guest play from all over the world. I think I hope we have something from Greek that would be really fun. From Russia, the native play about Ibsen and Strindberg. It's also used in like a cinema. This Pupushka. Also you see here for children's theater and experimental theater. And here's a play we made with Thomas Tranströmer, the latest Swedish literature winner of the Nobel Prize. He wrote one play that was ready the day after he got the nomination. That the play had the premiere, and he was there. There he is. They look at each other. And this was one big moment. There's another guy that Nobel Prize winner, Torna Shaw was there once and met Strindberg. And then Strindberg said, 2 o'clock I will be sick. And he was sick 2 o'clock. He couldn't speak English. Here you see Joyce Carol Lewis. Has been quite interesting in the theatre. And here is children's theatre. And here is the woman, this is our biggest success, Miss Julie, Anna Pettersson, and she is now taking over after me, artistic director of the theatre. I hope it will be very good. She made it like a monologue. This was Lucky Pierre. This is the Pelican. And here's the last one, the King Christina at the theatre this spring. And that's the end. Oh, here. You see. And now we should look at the film in just a few minutes. Like. It's a father in the ensemble of Intima. It's really extraordinary that it exists. And Stephen was very interested in film. He gave a carte blanche he made a carte blanche to the Intima Teatern and use my work, do film. I like this cinematograph. And the Drottninggatan where Strindberg lived was a big cinema street at that time. And it's silent movie, and it's with the Strindberg's actors of his father. And here you see the end of the father. And it's very cool. It's made outside, not on the theater, because you have to use the light. And it's very cool. You see the space is outside the mouth. You can see that when they're breathing, it's like you see it. And Strindberg directed the father himself. And he had lots of ideas. He was down at the theater at that time, together with Alrik Kjellgren. And he told them how they should do it and wrote lots of letters. And he told of his father, that was playing the main part, that he should walk with one hand on his back and smoking cigarette like that, to hide that it was smoking. Let's be quiet and you can just look.
Excuse me, I didn't want you to kill your child. Why did you let me kill her? Life is a hell. Death is country sky. The children. See your child, my child, a man has no child. Okay, that's the story. Just one comment about this. I think it's a very modern way of acting they're doing it. You couldn't compare this
melodramatic films from the time. This is 1911 was performed, and otherwise you see this big gesture, they hold it back quite a lot. You can read on the lips what they are saying. It's very clever how they cut it down also, I think, the dramaturgy. But it's a unique document from the time. Maybe you can see a little trace of Strindberg in it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ture. It was a wonderful presentation. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. And one can also think that Stρίντμπεργκ became only 63 years old. And he lived a life, and he did a work that maybe somebody else would have to do it in 163 years. So his life is full of work and experiences. And we thank you for giving us that lecture that we really could feel also what you have experienced being the director of the theatre in so many years. Thank you so much. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ γιατί μας έδωσε και την δυνατότητα να ζήσουμε και εμείς λίγο από την ιστορία του Intima Teatern, που έχει πραγματικά ζήσει ο ίδιος και με τον συγγενή του, τον Αύγουστο, μας έδειξε και τη φωτογραφία που ήταν ο συνειδητής του Strindberg στο Intima, το οικείο θέατρο. Και τώρα ερωτήσεις. Ture, are you ready to answer a few questions? Okay. Αν θέλετε να κάνετε ερωτήσεις, μπορούμε. Κυρία Δρακόπουλο, έχουμε το χρόνο.
Βέβαια, φυσικά.
No, yes, the line is yours. No, but I'm open for questions if
I would like to ask. Strindberg, along with Ibsen, are the two cornerstones, let's say, of naturalistic writing in theatre. When the big blast came in Europe with all those independent scenes like Freddy and Theatre Libre and all those theatres that we talked about, Ibsen was, I believe, in my opinion, more preferable than Strindberg. Lots of theatres began their programs with Ibsen and not with Strindberg. I believe he was a little bit misunderstood.
Yes.
Why was that? Why?
I don't know, let's say something that Ibsen was writing the perfect plays. The dramaturgy that was perfect, and Strindberg was more hard to understand. It was private, and it took up subjects like Monsieur Lee and so on. That was very new. But of course, then there was a fight between Ibsen and Strindberg, who was the best at that, and they become, first they were quite good friends, I suppose, but Ibsen always had Strindberg's portrait on his desk, but it was a matter of taste. At the time they thought that Ibsen was more preferred, so Strindberg was very sad about that, I think. He wanted to find ways to come out, to be translated, to go to France and stay. I'm not really an expert on this but I imagine myself when I see Ibsen play it can be fantastic because it's like the puzzle and it goes out and it's perfect. But still it's not perfect, it's really deep.
Άλλες ερωτήσεις? Μια και έχετε.
I think that all tragedies are very based on the Greek tragedies too.
Yes.
When we say tragedy, it's really Greek and then goes to the North Europe.
Oh yeah. Well, Strindberg was very well educated. He has read most of these things in school and so. And if you nowadays you can search on Strindberg on the Greek influence like that, or you find those sort of things. Everybody was very proud of. I think it was the McCandley and so forth. But mostly because they want to learn. The actors should learn. They should be educated. And maybe they weren't so much. And then it's forced them to read this. You can go on stage and you look a bit more. which I think is important still.
I can also ask you something. How was Strindberg's relation to the dramatical theatre, to the Dramaten, the Royal Theatre, where his last wife, father, played? How was it in connection to this Intima?
When he became the head of his own theatre, it was a fight between the dramatic theatre and Harry Potter, for example. She never took part in anything at this Intima because she was playing at the theatre all the time. But they thought men of the big theatre, because it was a dramatic theatre, then you heard Albert Ramp, that was the head of 9 theatres in Stockholm, private theatres. And they were stressed about that. Suddenly someone is coming with a modern new drama that is called intimate theatre or literature theatre, litterär teater, still I call it. And that's something that was challenging for this theatre because they were making this old style conversationsdrama, conversation drama, comedies, and the big stars like that. Here suddenly it was a group coming, keeping together. And nobody was better than the others. And that was something new, I think. So Albert Ramp, he wanted to make everything like intimate theatre, but they couldn't do that. And the theatre just lasted for 3 years. It's very short. I was there 15 years, and I think it's quite a long. But 3 years that was in a way enough, even for a small theatre. But the new idea was that it should be intimate and that they have a Strindberg as a host writer that is fantastic. I think they played Ibsen also on the theatres.
Thank you so much. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ.
Τώρα από ό,τι βλέπω στο πρόγραμμα διάλειμμα.
Πάψη 5 λεπτών και να πάρουμε 5 λεπτών.